You've replayed the relationship in your head 100 times, trying to figure out where it went wrong. Was it something you said? Something you failed to give them? Were you too sensitive or not sensitive enough? Here's what no one told you. You were never the problem. You were the target. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it happened, step by step, using the actual psychology behind it. Not the surface level stuff you've already read, the real mechanics underneath. The narcissist you didn't see coming. When most people picture a narcissist, they picture someone loud, arrogant, the guy who talks about himself all night at a dinner party. But psychologist Craig Malkin, in Rethinking Narcissism, describes a second type that is far more dangerous and far harder to spot: the covert narcissist. They don't walk into a room demanding attention. They walk in seeming wounded, sensitive, misunderstood. They're the one who tells you on the second date that everyone in their life has let them down, that their ex was crazy, that they've never really felt understood. Until now, with you. And because they never triggered your defenses, you never put them up. George K. Simon, in Sheep's Clothing, puts it plainly: the most effective manipulators never look like manipulators. They look like people who need you. Phase 1. Love bombing. Why it worked on you specifically. The relationship started with something that felt unlike anything you'd experienced before. Constant texts. Deep conversations at 2 a.m. "I've never met anyone like you." It was intoxicating. And you thought it meant the relationship was special. It was special, just not in the way you thought. Here's the neurological reality. Love bombing doesn't just feel good. It sets a baseline your brain will spend months trying to return to. When that level of attention is withdrawn, the absence doesn't feel neutral. It feels like loss, like grief. You're not chasing a good feeling anymore. You're trying to escape a withdrawal. And here's the part that most content skips entirely. Researcher Shahida Arabi found that love bombing works best on people with high empathy. Not because they're naive, but because empathetic people naturally assume that the intensity of someone's affection reflects the intensity of their inner experience. It doesn't occur to them that warmth can be performed without feeling anything. Your empathy wasn't a weakness. It was what made you a target. Phase 2. The switch and why it wasn't about you. Then, at some point, they changed. Not gradually, overnight. The person who called you their safe place was suddenly cold, critical, distant, and you had no idea what you did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. Here's what actually happened. Most people develop something psychologists call object constancy, the ability to hold a stable, loving image of someone even when you're frustrated with them. You can be angry at someone you love without it shaking your entire view of them. Narcissists, particularly those with early attachment trauma, often never develop this. In their internal world, people are either all good or all bad, and a single disappointment can flip the switch entirely. Therapist Wendy Behary, in Disarming the Narcissist, describes this as a deep cognitive structure, not a choice they're making. The devaluation feels as total and real to them as it does to you. Understanding this doesn't excuse them, but it answers the question you've been torturing yourself with. What did I do to make them stop loving me? Nothing. The switch was always coming. Phase 3. Darvo. The moment you stopped trusting yourself. So eventually you said something. Maybe you confronted them calmly. Maybe you cried. You told them what they did hurt you. And then something strange happened. Within minutes, somehow, you were the one apologizing. Researcher Jennifer Freed at the University of Oregon identified exactly this pattern and gave it a name: DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. They denied the behavior happened. They attacked your memory, your stability, your intentions. You're always doing this. You twist everything. And then they flipped it entirely. Suddenly they were the one who had been hurt by you for bringing it up. This happens so fast and so consistently that over time you learn a lesson your brain never consciously registers. Raising concerns costs you something, so you stop raising them. You start editing yourself before you even speak, and they never had to ask you to. Phase 4. Trauma bonding. The science of why leaving feels impossible. By this point, many people are asking themselves, why don't I just leave? If you've asked yourself that question, Bessel van der Kolk's research in the body keeps the score, has an answer. And it's not what you expect. The alternating cycle of tension, withdrawal, and then warmth returned. That cycle activates your body's stress response the same way other forms of trauma do. And over time, your nervous system begins to associate relief with this specific person, not safety. Relief from distress caused by them. That's trauma bonding. It's not a choice. It's not low self-esteem. It's a conditioned physiological response that operates below conscious decision-making. Lundy Bancroft in Why Does He Do That? Reframes the entire question. Stop asking why she stays. Ask why he creates conditions that make leaving feel like psychological annihilation. The escape. Here's what actually works, and what most advice gets wrong. You cannot think your way out of a trauma bond. When the stress response is chronically activated, the prefrontal cortex, the part that makes rational decisions, is partially offline. This is why every plan you made to leave felt clear until you were in the room with them. Logic isn't the problem. Your nervous system is. First, expect the escalation. When you start pulling away, things will likely get worse before they get better. Behavioral psychology calls this an extinction burst. When a behavior that used to work stops producing results, it intensifies before it stops. More calls, more charm, more accusations. This is not a sign you're making a mistake. It's a sign the dynamic is breaking. Stay the course. Second, recovery starts in the body, not the mind. Because the bond is held physiologically, insight alone won't dissolve it. Movement, breath work, safe physical presence with people you trust. Van der Kolk's research is consistent. These aren't supplements to recovery. They're the foundation. Third, rebuild your ability to trust your own perceptions. Gaslighting causes a very specific kind of damage. Shahida Arabi calls it epistemic abuse. Systematic destruction of your confidence in your own ability to know things. Recovery means rebuilding that faculty deliberately. Write down what you observed before discussing it with anyone. Practice trusting small reads on situations. Notice when you were right. You're not just healing from a relationship. You're rebuilding a cognitive function that was methodically taken from you. Narcissistic manipulation works because it doesn't look like manipulation. It looks like the most intense love you've ever felt. Then it looks like your own confusion. Then it looks like your own failure. The research is clear. The people this happens to are not weak. They're typically the most empathetic, the most self-reflective, the people most worth targeting. Knowing the mechanism doesn't make you cynical. It makes you free.